I went to Norwich to meet the family. I hung out with them for a couple of days. I interviewed them, and then it sort of began as a sort of as an interview of sorts, and then it became a sort of just a hangout session. I think initially they were probably a little bit wary, of who's this guy? Has he come to sort of make fun of us? And I hope I made it clear to them that wasn't the case. And they were very blunt, and Ricky, the father, within an hour of meeting him, was sort of talking about, yeah, well, I was in and out of jail about 3 times before I was 20. And then his wife, Julia, saying, mainly violence. And that was a line that we just threw in straight in the film, and they were very honest about the difficulties they'd had in their earlier lives and how wrestling for them was a salvation. It was like an alcoholic who finds Christianity and kind of turns their life around. It's the same for them in wrestling. I spoke with Paige, who was in America, and we had a lot of long phone conversations where I kind of asked her about her upbringing and about the tough time she'd had going to America and how she'd cope with it. Yes, there was a lot of research, and also I just had to understand this world, both British wrestling, which is unique and specific, and also WWE and the whole sports entertainment world of that. And that's been running for years, and it's all, and as someone described it to me, it's like a soap opera in spandex. And when you understand that, it starts to make sense. But imagine trying to catch up on 30 years of a soap opera in a weekend. I mean, it's really hard, and so it took me a long time to just figure out what it was all about. They have these terms, very specific wrestling terminology. The good guys are called the baby faces, and the bad guys are called heels, and they have this thing about winning over the audience. They call it going over with the crowd and winning them over. And they talk about kayfabe, which is this blurring of reality and fiction. I mean, there's all this stuff. And they would just bandy these terms around, and I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. So it was like kind of like learning another language. It was a long research and immersion into this world. The only thing I knew about WWE before this had started was that I kind of vaguely knew who Triple H was, and obviously I'd seen Hulk Hogan in his heyday, but I didn't know anything about. I didn't understand it. I never had watched it as a kid. I just had no. It was like if you'd said to me, "You're going to make a film about opera." I could say, well, I understand people love opera. I just don't know anything about it. I don't know where to start. And so it was a real swift learning curve. Firstly, going to see a WWE match and just seeing how it all works and seeing how the fans react with it and how much they're involved. And once I did that, I began to understand why it was enjoyable and why people loved it, and that it is kind of like theatre. I heard someone describe it as soap opera in spandex, and that made sense to me as well. It's got a soap opera, week to week, evolving storyline aspect, and that's what you engage with. That the characters are larger than life, the stories, the drama is all larger than life, and then just meeting them, including Dwayne, and I met with quite a lot of the big stars, and then just told me about their experience of it, and I ended up listening to loads of interviews and podcasts and watching old famous matches and really just immersing myself in this world and trying to catch up on 30 years of soap opera. My appreciation for it just went up and up because I began to understand the physicality of what they're doing, and that it's not just about can you throw yourself around the ring, but it's about storytelling. It's about using your body to tell a story. It's about being on the mic and communicating with the audience, and how during the training, Paige and everyone else has to sort of amplify themselves into a character. Dwayne talked a lot about how, as he says in the movie, you take the real Dwayne and you dial everything up to 10, and it sort of magnify your real self into this exaggerated version that will play to a 20,000 strong audience. As someone who's come from doing stand-up and other kinds of performing, once I understood it as a performance, I kind of really appreciated how hard that is to do well, to do it night after night, to sort of be making it up as you go along, because it's not like the WWE sit there and meticulously work out everything that's going to happen. They basically will give the superstars a kind of few basic ideas, and then they go out there and make it up in front of a 20,000 strong audience and a live TV crew. I mean, and an audience of millions. I mean, it's kind of insane. There's nothing like it. I hope the WWE Universe will enjoy this movie because it is ultimately a celebration of this thing which they love and which I've grown to love. You know, there aren't that many movies about sports entertainment that aren't sort of, I think, sometimes mocking of it or trying to laugh at it or point at it or say, we don't understand why you're into this. And I, if I began with that attitude, I definitely changed my view. And I loved sort of falling in love with this thing and understanding it and enjoying it. And I've tried to be really respectful of that. I've tried to make a film which is a celebration of it and of Paige. And even though many of them will know her story already, I don't think they'll have known how sort of unexpectedly emotional it is. And I think, you know, if you're someone who sort of followed her story, or even if you haven't, I think it will, I hope it will sort of engage you, and I think it's emotional, I think it's funny. The spirit of the movie is sort of honouring the WWE Universe, and so I hope that they sort of take it with the spirit in which it's intended.